wanted to take a little bit of a moment to talk about the vast universe of timelines and how abundant it truly is, and how when we take a shift, when we take a big quantum shift, we shift out of a universe into another one. So what happens is the timelines we were playing with in the old realities disappear and brand new ones are available to us. And we've all experienced this, in profound ways before. So, this session and the first session of tomorrow, we're going deep into the codex of what it means to co-create and create and explore timelines, to have more precision with our timelines. And the pieces that we're going to be wanting to explore here is, what does it really truly mean, to be a timekeeper and to be navigating timelines, to work with the Timekeeper Collective family, to literally be able to create with a team timelines of our choosing. This is not what we're taught on planet Earth. We're not taught to explore timelines. We're not. We're taught to kind of just, deal with what's happening in front of us. And then our frequency is what takes us, like the wind taking a light leaf, all over the shop. And so that takes me to this piece. Here is a drawing I prepared for you earlier. And so I want you to kind of look at, I'd love for you to see that right now we are ascending, which means that we're expanding our light quota. So our light quota is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and our abundance quota. So in Ascension, especially in this grid, the invitation is to expand, to be able to hold more light, which is more love, which is abundance, right? And the receiving of all. Now, let's have a look at all of these little persons. So let's say that right now this is you. Cool. And by the way, there'd be more below you. Actually, no, I'm going to do it slightly differently. Let's say this. This is you right now sitting watching this transmission. Yeah. And this was you days ago. Cool. And now this is you with this codex integrated, and this is you fully mastering of this codex. Yeah. Now, inside of this space, if this is you right now, these two versions of you are your higher selves. And all your higher selves are versions of you with a higher light quota, higher abundance quota, the embodiment. They're further along the journey of embodiment. In the quantum now, they already exist, as we all know. Yeah. And you're becoming them. And this was you yesterday, and now you become the higher self for you yesterday. And so now when you yesterday is asking for guidance, you at your multidimensional level is literally they're channeling you when they channel in guidance. And you yesterday had all of these timelines. Cool. And now you today have all of these timelines. And then you tomorrow and the next day have all of these timelines. And sometimes they're vastly different, as we know when we take a huge quantum leap. When we look at this, I'd like to go and I would love to explore it slightly differently. As opposed to higher and lower timelines, I'd love to have a look at timelines of love and unity and timelines of fear and separation. Cool? So if we are in fear and separation frequency, we access different timelines and create different timelines and co-create different timelines than when we're in love and unity. So when we're exploring our own timelines, it's really important to first calibrate the frequency. And if we have fear, separation, anger, any of that inside of our field, Or you tell me, is that the right time to explore the timelines available? Why not? Because we're going to explore these timelines. And so our, you know, this is the precision. The precision around this is we actually stop and go, okay, what's going on? I've got this going on. And, you know, I fear that if I do X, Y, and Z, this will happen. Who's ever had that before? Where you're like, if I do this, I fear X, Y, and Z will happen. Guess what? All it is creating these timelines. And if we follow that fear into here, we are walking into these timelines. Now, yes, we can break through the fear and walk into a timeline, but it's usually going to be somewhere in the middle. And provided we break through, like really break through, then we can shift up. Yet ultimately, personally, what I have found to be even more resourceful is to alchemize whatever the fear, the separation, the worry, the concern, the something's not right here feeling. This is to do with our beautiful offerings and to do with the creation of any part of our life. So if I'm like a little bit nervous about Hawaii because last time I went to Hawaii, I got bitten by a jellyfish. Does this make sense? I could be projecting that into a timeline and co-creating another reality, another timeline where something friggin' bites me and not a handsome man on the butt, like something, you know. Do you follow what I'm putting down? So today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to explore the spectrum, meaning that when I take you through this process, I actually do want you to feel if there is any fear or separation around this next creation, and that we want to alchemize it and then go beyond that and follow the timelines of pure love. I personally will not work, I do not create, I will not create timelines or offerings or realities if I've got this going on. I want to create realities. Like if I've got any funniness going on around a product or like anything, I will take no action. I will not create reality until that's been harmonized. So we're doing this for ourselves because when we have a consult with a beloved, beautiful soul that's looking to come and work with us, especially when we do these consults for our more premium offerings where we spend a bit more time with someone, right? Then we want to be aware that they too have what we used to call higher timelines, middle timelines, and lower timelines. They also have timelines of pure love and timelines of fear and separation that could be in the field. Now, if we go into the consult and we only see the timelines of love and we ignore the timelines of fear and separation, what can happen is we can guide that person however they could say, come and work with us. But if this wasn't dealt with, what can happen for them is, well, one, they could potentially like back out. Like this is where, you know, in between them saying yes and coming on board, they could find themselves saying to us, oh, you know what, it's actually not the right time. And who's ever had someone be like, really, yes, super aligned, and then out of the blue, they can't come. Yeah, they're like, all of a sudden, this is literally what's happened. What's happened is we were here with them. They loved it. When we left, Maya, no, that's no chewing of the cord, please. Thank you for your help, but we're good. And so what's happened in that situation is they've gone into these timelines. These timelines were available for them. So this is what it means, that first we acknowledge that everything like this exists, and then we're able to also see where this happens for them, which means that when we're talking to them, we're going to receive around this. Sometimes what will happen is you'll actually receive that when you look at the full spectrum of timelines available to them and you have a look at what's possible. So we've got different ways to look at this. When we're channeling in for the person and ourselves, like the beautiful timelines available, we can be channeling in these amazing timelines of love in their current self. We can also be channeling in the timelines of their higher selves that have led them to the phone call. And so we can see these timelines, right? but they've got to become these people for those timelines to be activated. Sometimes they will come in to work with us and they'll think just by friggin' coming in to work with us, that automatically grants them the golden pass to become this person. That's not accurate. And then here's the other piece. If they haven't collapsed the connection to other versions of themselves, they can also go back to this version of themselves. And now there's timelines here that you didn't even see because you were looking at these. Does this resonate?
Can I share something? I think a lot of people who come in and that I have had consultations with is that they're fluctuating a lot between the timelines. And so they'll have moments where they're super high frequency, everything's in flow state, you know, they're really like shifting, but they haven't learned how to hold that frequency. So then they drop down again and they're literally like all over the place. And what I often see is when we do the timeline consulting, we're literally holding them in like a grid, in a safe place where we're sharing with them this like weaving of the, like in a you know, like a finesse way. And then when they come out of it, because they feel really good and they're like, oh my God, yeah, it's so good, juicy, they go back into the familiar way and they're all over the place again. And it's really hard for them to differentiate between those timelines. You know, they can't be like, no, that was a timeline where I felt aligned. That was all about purpose and I felt really calm on that. And I can see the work that I have to do. They go straight back into fear, anxiety, the familiar, safe grid and go, oh no, it's not the right time.
And by the way, sometimes that's divine. Because all they were meant to come to you for was seeds of light. And those seeds of light are within their soul and their being, and they've got the sovereign choice to let those seeds grow, and they'll come back and continue their journey. And sometimes we're planting seeds of light with someone and they're not meant to come back to us to receive the rest of the codex. We were literally like, as part of the way that we serve our free content, and these consults can literally be coding and sharing light codes with souls that will never actually do our main offerings. And we've got to be okay with that too, because we're a part of a team of keepers of light. And as a keeper of light, we're okay to fill in over here for Bob or Joan. You know, it's like, okay, well, Joan's taking the day off, so I'll do this consult with this person, share some light codes. They won't come into my container, my offering, because they're not meant to. They're meant to come into Joan's. You know what I mean? Like, to actually be more of a team player and to always just be in that beautiful divine, like, cool. All we do is plant light. We don't even need to look to see if it's growing. We just plant it. We are the planters of light. Every time we plant light, we know that it's there. It's there. And sometimes the light we plant in other people may not grow for 5 years. 5 years from now, they'll finally be ready to let that light start growing inside of them. And it's all divine. It's all part of something so much greater and bigger. Yeah? Does that resonate with you? Awesome. So, what this also means for us as leaders is this is what's present for us. So, this is why sometimes we can shift into another version of ourselves and be like, yay, I feel better. And then have the ability to create higher timelines or timelines of more love. Or what we can do is we can access the lower or the fear separation timelines in that new version of us. Start to worry again, start to want to control things again, start to want to analyze things, micromanage things, and find ourselves creeping back to merge with this version. Maybe this time we're in the higher timelines of this version, yet it doesn't feel good like it did 2 days ago. This is how we travel. We literally travel through timelines into other aspects. And then there comes a time where this version simply transmutes, fully merges, and it kind of looks like it disappears. Yet in the quantum, it just means that this version of us no longer has access to be this version. No different to how you don't have the access to be your 2-year-old self. You can't go back and be your 2-year-old avatar unless you can. I don't know anyone who can do that. Yet does this make sense? There's, by the way, no wrong or right. It's now going into what does it mean to travel timelines, explore timelines, create timelines with precision. And so if someone wants to pull me into lower timelines again of something, I will be like, hey, instead, let's hold these ones. Let's keep going forward. Nothing's broken yet. Let's not drag up the stuff from yesterday or last week. Let's actually keep going forward along these timelines, because guess what happens? These timelines are going to lead us into the next version, and they're going to lead us into our next version. So this is what it means, by the way, to ascend through the conscious choice of choosing the timelines of love. There's a lot of people that are ascending through fear, and their journey looks like this. So they go into the fear and then they come out of it, they shift, yet it's woof. And some of us have experienced this and have broken out of it, because part of your ascension was to break out of that and to keep choosing timelines of love. Yeah? Yet it's okay that at any given time, we're not ignoring separational fear. We're not. It's not like, just can't see it, choosing timelines of love means that we're actually able to love these timelines too. And that version of us, and be like, okay, what's present here? Oh, there's a timeline. Oh, and it's feeling the frequency that the timeline is coded with. So this can happen in relationships sometimes. If there's been a bumpy experience with our beloved, our friend, we could find ourselves looking at creating a new timeline with them. But because we've had some bumps with them, those bumps, those traumas, can get injected into the timeline. Who's had that experience before? And this is what it means to create timelines with greater precision. It's going, okay, what's going on here? Then we call in. Metatron is such a beautiful being to co-create with when it comes to the alchemy of these fear separation-based timelines. So Mel was talking about this in the last section, where what we're doing here is we're inviting these timelines to evolve and ascend. Just like the councils of light are inviting humanity to evolve and ascend and keep sending light codes to them, we're inviting these timeline aspects of ourselves to evolve and ascend.